Hey guys, welcome back here to the Fishing Teacher. Appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to hang with me a little bit. And guys, today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite late winter, early spring crankbaits that not many people use. And that's this little 1/4 ounce Lure Jensen speed trap here, guys. This is freaking deadly under the right set of circumstances. And it's got a very, very specific window that it works in. But guys, if you get this in the late winter and early spring, you can catch some giant bags of fish. Probably, well, the third biggest bag of fish I ever weighed in a tournament came on this exact bait. This exact one, guys, this little, in this color, this little 1/4 ounce speed trap in late February. And I'm gonna explain to you guys what you need to look for this thing to work in today's video. And also, guys, I'll put my speed trap link and my tackle warehouse link in the description of the video. If you guys would like to pick up one of these baits here, you can use that link of mine. So really appreciate that. Okay, let me explain to you guys well, first of all, let me talk about the third biggest bag I ever caught, which was on this little 1/4 ounce speed trap. This exact one, actually. This is exactly the bait that I caught the big bag on. 25 pounds, 14 ounces, I think. It was Lake Murray in South Carolina. Now, what had happened in this tournament was I was on some pretty good fish on a lipless crankbait. And the first day of the tournament, I only caught one fish that weighed like, I think it was 5.5 pounds or something like that. But I lost a bunch of good ones. I lost like 5 or 6 other really nice fish. Should have had an easy 25-pound bag. And I was in the last flight and I was just disgusted. I mean, absolutely disgusted that I had thrown away a shot to win the tournament. So the second day of the tournament, I was boat number 1, taking out the second day of the tournament. So I'm just like, just like disgusted at myself. So I just said, what the heck, I'm just gonna start right out here outside the off limits area. So they called my boat, Randy Blaukat, boat number 1. I idled. I didn't even get the boat up on plane. I idled right outside of the off limits area, tied on this little 1/4 ounce speed trap, guys. And by the time they got to boat number 25, I'd already had 2 5-pounders in the boat. Literally within a cast away from the checkout boat, I caught 2 big ones on the little 1/4 ounce speed trap and wound up catching almost or 25 something that second day of the tournament, moved way up in the tournament and had a good finish. And that showed me, guys, the effectiveness of the speed trap, because I'd used the 1/2 ounce size for a lot of years. And I'd had some really good success in the late winter on the bigger 1/2 ounce size here, especially cranking over grass. But this area at Lake Murray, all it was like a gravelly, flatter type bank. And that's what I want to talk about today, is where this little speed trap works the best on here. Okay, so here's the window that you have to have, and here's the scenario. For whatever reason, guys, this is like a flatter, gravelly type bank area that's closer to deeper water that you have to look for. You guys hear me talking a lot about fishing like channel banks and bluff banks and steeper banks during the pre-spawn. But for whatever it is, this is gonna work on this set of situations if you have it. Number 1, you have to have water temperatures that are somewhat, between like 48 to 55 degrees. There's about a 6 or 7 degree window, number 1. Number 2, you have to have the right water clarity, and that right water clarity is about 1.5 to 2.5 feet of water. Sort of that maybe 15-inch to 20-inch visibility, something about like that. So about this much water visibility that you need to have with it, in correlation with water temperatures 48 to 50, and it has got to be into March, because here's what happens. Even though you have water temperatures that are cool, like under 50 degrees, by the time March gets here, the daylight hours are increasing, and intuitively and instinctually, those bass want to move shallow, even though the water's cooler. And one of the first places they go to on some lakes that have this structure is they go to the flatter clay or gravelly type small rock banks that are in close proximity to spawning areas, but they still have deeper water. Now, obviously, all lakes are not going to fit this criteria, guys. But let me lay this out. If you can see this, it's like if you got a lake that has like some spawning coves, say back in the creek, and the entrance of those spawning coves, you have the flatter points that go into those spawning coves. And if you come out of the main creek, or if you come out of the cove right there and get out on the main part of the creek, they're still a little bit flatter. Prime example, guys, a lot of you guys that fish Kentucky Lake, if you ever go on the east side of Kentucky Lake, you'll know what I'm talking about. You got these flatter, gravelly type points and banks that lead back into spawning areas. That's what you have to have. This little bait, this little speed trap only runs about 4 feet deep. So this is for fish that have moved up on those flatter type areas and they're sitting there getting ready to move up to spawn. Very, very situational. I usually put it on 10-pound test Seagarn Vizex fluorocarbon line. You can fish it on a spinning rod or a bait caster, either one. Just depends on how deep you want it to get it. But it's only about a 4-foot, bait. Now, some other places I've caught them on, I did really good in a couple tournaments on Lake Wheeler on it, out on the Decatur Flats, fishing over those mussel bars and those stumps and those shallow water flats. Lake Eufaula, Alabama, I've caught them on it there. Any type of flatter bank, when that water temperature is around 50, guys, they will gobble this little 1/4-ounce speed trap up. And this is probably my favorite color. I've also caught them decent on a couple. Let me see if I can pull out a couple here more. Ones I've caught them on here. Any type of like a little, little chartreuse on it, depending if the water clarity, what it is on there. But you sort of have to mix it up. But this is by far my favorite color for this time of year. And another place that it works really good on is a boat ramp. If you've got water temperatures around 50 degrees and you have any type of boat ramps, especially like a residential boat ramp, those good fish will move up on those ramps in that colder water, and that speed trap's a really good bait to catch them on. But I just wanted to clue you guys in on it. If you haven't tried it, guys, I'll put them in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description. Try them if you get into the situation I'm talking about, and it'll catch you some quality fish, I promise. So hope it helps out. We'll talk later.